Welcome to today's episode, where we unravel a story that moves from glitz and glamour to tragedy and heartbreak. Courtney Clenney, known to millions as a successful OnlyFans creator and Instagram influencer, seemed to have it all. With over 2 million followers and more than $3 million earned through her online presence, she built an empire that epitomized modern-day fame and fortune. But behind the carefully curated images and enviable lifestyle lay a darker reality. On April 3rd, 2022, that reality shattered when her boyfriend, Christian Obumseli, tragically lost his life in a violent altercation inside their luxury Miami apartment. What went so wrong? Was this a case of self-defense, as Courtney claimed, or was it something far more sinister? What do the text messages, videos, and eyewitness accounts reveal about the dynamics of their relationship? And ultimately, will justice be served? Stay with us as we dive into this compelling and controversial case, exploring the rise and fall of Courtney Clenney and the devastating impact it had, not only on her life, but also on the loved ones of Christian Obumseli. Let's start by taking a closer look at the two central figures in this story, Courtney Clenney and Christian Obumseli, two individuals whose lives intertwined with both passion and turmoil. Courtney Clenney was born on April 21st, 1996, in Texas, into a family that could afford her a life of privilege and opportunity. Raised alongside her sister Morgan, Courtney's childhood was filled with love, support, and all the comforts a young girl could ask for. Her parents were deeply involved in sports, and this influence shaped her active and ambitious lifestyle. By the second grade of high school, Courtney was already juggling gymnastics, volleyball, diving, and even horseback riding. She also discovered a passion for theater, drama, and dance, pursuing them with relentless enthusiasm. However, it wasn't just talent and hard work that defined her. Courtney had an eye for opportunity. As she grew older, she realized that her interests extended far beyond the classroom. Dropping out of college, she became a certified personal trainer and poured her energy into fitness competitions. This marked the beginning of a journey that would soon lead her to social media fame. With her striking looks and dedication to fitness, Courtney's online presence exploded. Photos of her workouts and daily life started gaining massive traction, propelling her into the world of Instagram influencers. It wasn't long before she found her golden ticket, OnlyFans. By leveraging her confidence and charisma, she quickly amassed a fortune, earning millions of dollars in just a few years. From glamorous photo shoots to high-profile collaborations, Courtney seemed to have it all. Yet behind the filters and captions, cracks in her seemingly perfect life began to show. Despite her financial success and the envy of her millions of followers, Courtney's personal life was far from the polished image she portrayed online. Christian Obumseli, or Toby as he was lovingly called, was the kind of person who could brighten anyone's day. Born on April 12, 1994 in Dallas, Texas, Toby exuded warmth, kindness, and an infectious energy that left everyone around him feeling uplifted. Whether on the basketball court or the football field, his natural athleticism and relentless work ethic were impossible to ignore. Coaches admired his dedication, teammates respected his leadership, and friends adored his ever-present smile. But Toby was more than just an athlete. He was a visionary, a man with ambition and an entrepreneurial spark. He delved into the world of cryptocurrency and stocks at a young age, building a solid financial foundation that reflected both his intelligence and determination. His success in these ventures earned him a life of comfort, but Toby wasn't one to flaunt it. Instead, he remained grounded, caring deeply for his friends and family. In 2020, Toby met Courtney Clenney, and his world seemed to gain a new kind of brilliance. Their relationship started like a fairy tale, filled with passion, excitement, and shared dreams. Friends described them as inseparable, deeply in love, and thriving together. Yet, as is often the case, what looked perfect from the outside was far from flawless within. Over time, the vibrant and joyful Toby began to change. Where there was once lightness, there was now stress. The once confident and carefree man appeared burdened, withdrawn, and deeply troubled. Behind closed doors, cracks were beginning to show in their seemingly picture-perfect romance, cracks that would soon lead to something much darker and far more tragic. What started as a passionate romance between Courtney Clenney and Christian Toby Obumseli soon began to unravel into something far more toxic and destructive. Behind the curated images of their seemingly glamorous life together, a darker reality was taking shape, one that would leave scars far deeper than anyone could imagine. Courtney's behavior began to spiral out of control, fueled by her struggle with alcohol and an inability to manage her emotions. What might have been minor disagreements for most couples often escalated into violent outbursts. Friends and witnesses recounted her frequent aggression, screaming matches, insults, and even physical attacks. The most chilling detail was Courtney's use of racial slurs and degrading comments toward Toby, cutting deeply into the man who once adored her. These episodes weren't isolated. Police were called multiple times to their residence, each visit painting a grim picture of their turbulent relationship. In one incident, Courtney threw a glass at Toby's head, a shocking act that led to her arrest. Yet, even then, Toby pleaded for her release, defending her despite the visible injuries she had inflicted. His refusal to press charges wasn't just a testament to his love. It was a heartbreaking reflection of how deeply trapped he was in their toxic dynamic. For those who knew Toby, the change in him was impossible to ignore. Once the life of the party and a beacon of positivity, Toby became increasingly withdrawn. The bright, ambitious man they loved was now overshadowed by stress, sadness, and exhaustion. His radiant smile, which once lit up every room, was slowly fading under the weight of their relationship. What was once a love story had turned into a nightmare, one marked by control, manipulation, and relentless emotional turmoil. This downward spiral wasn't just eroding their bond, it was building toward a tragic climax that no one could have foreseen. April 3rd, 2022 was an unseasonably stormy day in Miami, but the weather outside paled in comparison to the storm brewing inside the luxurious high-rise apartment of Courtney Clenney and Christian Toby Obumseli. What started as yet another argument in their turbulent relationship quickly spiraled into violence, culminating in a moment of irreversible tragedy. Inside their $10,000 a month apartment, with sweeping views of Biscayne Bay, Courtney and Toby's voices could be heard echoing through the halls as tensions reached their breaking point. The specifics of their fight remain clouded by Courtney's inconsistent account. But what is known as this: at some point during the altercation, Courtney grabbed a knife and fatally stabbed Toby in the chest. The blade penetrated deeply, striking a critical artery just above a tattoo of Courtney's name. A chilling and tragic irony. As Toby lay bleeding heavily on the floor, the clock began ticking. Every second counted, yet Courtney's actions in these crucial moments raised alarming questions. Instead of immediately calling 911, Courtney's first instinct was to dial her mother. For 13 critical minutes, she remained on the phone, prioritizing a conversation with her mother over seeking life-saving help for Toby. By the time she finally contacted emergency services, Toby's condition had already deteriorated. The 911 call itself was chaotic, filled with Courtney's panicked cries and pleas for help. Yet the delay in seeking medical attention proved fatal. Toby was rushed to the hospital, but the severe blood loss had already taken its toll. Despite the best efforts of doctors, Toby was pronounced dead, leaving those who loved him shattered by the sudden and violent loss. In the immediate aftermath of the stabbing, Courtney Clenney's response to what had just occurred left many stunned. Confronted by the police, she admitted to stabbing Christian Toby Obumseli, but quickly asserted it was an act of self-defense. According to Courtney, an argument had escalated violently, with Toby allegedly grabbing her by the neck and throwing her to the floor. In a supposed moment of fear and desperation, she claimed she had acted to protect herself. However, her behavior following the incident painted a complex and contradictory picture. Witnesses outside the apartment saw Courtney covered in Toby's blood, yet bizarrely calm in moments, kissing her buttocks while shouting for the police to arrive. She made no effort to assist Toby as he bled out on the floor, and her delay in calling 911 raised significant doubts about her account of the events. Meanwhile, Courtney's demeanor during her initial questioning added to the growing unease about her story. She fluctuated between panic and apparent indifference, at times appearing emotionally detached. Her explanation of the events was inconsistent, raising suspicions about whether this was truly self-defense or something far more sinister. Authorities decided to place Courtney under observation at a psychiatric facility under Florida's Baker Act. This legal measure, used when someone is deemed a danger to themselves or others, allowed her to be held for up to 72 hours for evaluation. Her erratic behavior and the gravity of the situation necessitated the action. During this time, investigators began piecing together the details of what had transpired that day, and troubling evidence began to surface. The autopsy report revealed inconsistencies with Courtney's account. The depth of the stab wound, its angle, and its precise location suggested it was unlikely to have been inflicted from a distance, as she had claimed when she said she threw the knife. Moreover, police noted a lack of visible injuries on Courtney that would have supported her claim of a violent struggle. Text messages and audio recordings recovered from Toby's phone added further context. These messages revealed a relationship riddled with volatility and abuse. In one text, Toby heartbreakingly admitted that despite Courtney stabbing him in the past, he still loved her and wanted to make things work. These messages painted a stark contrast to Courtney's narrative of being the victim, suggesting instead a long history of her aggression and his attempts to pacify or protect her. For Toby's family, the aftermath was a devastating blend of grief and frustration. They rejected Courtney's claims of self-defense, describing Toby as a kind, loving, and gentle soul who would never pose the kind of threat she alleged. They spoke openly about the sacrifices Toby had made in his efforts to support and love Courtney, only for his life to end so tragically. As news of the incident spread, public scrutiny turned toward Courtney's past behavior. Videos and reports of her volatile nature and history of violence surfaced, casting an even darker shadow over her claims. Meanwhile, the world watched as this case began to unfold, one that was as shocking as it was heartbreaking. For Courtney, this marked the beginning of an uphill legal battle to prove her innocence. For Toby's family and friends, it was the start of a relentless pursuit of justice, determined to ensure that his story would not be overshadowed or forgotten. The aftermath of that fateful day left a trail of pain, unanswered questions, and the haunting legacy of a love that had turned into tragedy. The case of Courtney Clenney took a monumental turn in August 2022 when she was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. For months after Christian Toby Obumseli's tragic death, Courtney had walked free, claiming she acted in self-defense during a violent altercation. But the growing mountain of evidence against her would ultimately dismantle that narrative and lead to her arrest. Courtney was taken into custody in Hawaii, where she had been staying at a rehabilitation center for substance abuse and PTSD. Her arrest signaled that the Miami authorities, after extensive investigation, believed they had enough evidence to charge her with murder. But what exactly led to this decision? The most critical piece of evidence came from the medical examiner's findings. The autopsy revealed that the trajectory and depth of Toby's stab wound were inconsistent with Courtney's claim that she had thrown the knife from a distance. The wound was precise and forceful, indicating that the knife had been deliberately plunged into Toby's chest at close range. The depth of the wound, over 3 inches, was a clear sign of intentional and direct action, not an impulsive toss. Adding to this were the observations made by police officers who interviewed Courtney immediately after the incident. Despite her claims of being physically attacked by Toby, there were no visible injuries on her body, no bruises, scratches, or marks to corroborate her account of a violent struggle. This stark contrast between her statements and the physical evidence raised serious doubts about her credibility. The evidence against Courtney didn't stop there. Investigators uncovered a series of troubling text messages and voice recordings between the couple, providing a glimpse into their toxic and abusive relationship. In one particularly harrowing message, Toby described a prior incident where Courtney had stabbed him in the leg, yet he had forgiven her and tried to make their relationship work. These texts, along with video footage of Courtney berating and physically attacking Toby, painted a picture of a deeply troubled dynamic, one where Courtney was often the aggressor. Courtney's defense team fought hard to suppress this evidence. They filed motions to block the recordings made by Toby, arguing that they were private and inadmissible. They also sought to prevent the release of case details to the public, citing concerns over potential bias. However, the judge denied these motions, ensuring that the full scope of evidence would be available for the trial. For Toby's family and friends, Courtney's arrest was a step toward justice, but it was also a painful reminder of the loss they had suffered. They remained vocal in their belief that Toby's death was not a result of self-defense, but the culmination of a pattern of abuse that had gone unchecked for too long. As news of the arrest spread, public interest in the case grew exponentially. Courtney's trial was scheduled for 2023, and the anticipation surrounding it was immense. The media portrayed it as a clash between two narratives, one of self-defense and survival versus one of unchecked aggression and tragic consequences. For Courtney, once a social media star with millions of followers and a life of luxury, the stakes could not have been higher. She now faced the possibility of spending decades behind bars, her former fame and fortune reduced to a distant memory. The trial promised to reveal the full truth about what happened in their Miami apartment that fateful day. Was it an act of desperation or a deadly culmination of an abusive relationship? For many, it wasn't just about determining Courtney's guilt. It was about giving Toby and his family the justice they so desperately sought. As the legal proceedings loomed, one thing was certain. The case of Courtney Clenney and Christian Obumseli was far from over. The courtroom would soon become the stage for one of the most closely watched trials in recent memory, a tragic story of love, betrayal, and a life cut far too short. The arrest of Courtney Clenney sent shockwaves through both the media and the public. Almost overnight, the former social media star became the focus of intense scrutiny, with every detail of her glamorous yet chaotic life dissected under the spotlight. Questions about her rise to fame, her volatile relationship with Toby, and the tragic events that led to his death dominated headlines, turning the case into a modern-day high-profile trial. Courtney's life, once admired by millions, was now the subject of fierce criticism. Reports of her history of violence, erratic behavior, and lavish lifestyle painted a stark contrast to the image she had carefully curated online. Videos of Courtney berating Toby, police records of her past altercations, and the shocking text messages between them became fuel for an unrelenting media frenzy. Social media platforms erupted with discussions, opinions, and debates as people tried to make sense of a case that seemed to straddle the line between tragic love story and chilling crime. For Christian Toby Obumseli's family and friends, the aftermath was a mix of heartbreak and determination. They were devastated by the loss of a man they described as kind-hearted, gentle, and deeply loving. But their grief quickly turned into a fight for justice. Publicly, they rejected Courtney's claims of self-defense, asserting that Toby had suffered for months in an abusive relationship that eventually cost him his life. They spoke openly about the sacrifices he had made to support Courtney and the pain he endured while trying to make their relationship work. The case also sparked broader conversations about domestic abuse, with many pointing out the often overlooked dynamics of men being victims in abusive relationships. Toby's story became a rallying cry for those advocating for more awareness and support for male victims of domestic violence. As anticipation for the trial grew, the public fascination with the case only deepened. It wasn't just the shocking nature of the crime or Courtney's fame that captured attention, it was the complexity of the story itself. This wasn't a clear-cut case with an obvious villain and victim. Instead, it was a tangled web of love, power, and toxicity, leaving the world eager to hear the evidence and reach a verdict. For many, the trial represented more than just accountability for Courtney. It symbolized justice for Toby, whose life had been tragically cut short. As the world waited for the courtroom drama to unfold, one question lingered in the minds of all. Would the truth finally come to light, and would justice be served? As we close this chapter on the tragic case of Courtney Clenney and Christian Toby Obumseli, we are left to reflect on a relationship that began with love and promise, but spiraled into toxicity and heartbreak. What should have been a story of support and partnership turned into a cautionary tale of control, violence, and an irreparable loss. Toby's enduring love for Courtney, even in the face of her aggression and abuse, is a testament to his kind and forgiving nature. He tried to see the best in her, hoping that things would improve, only to pay the ultimate price. His death left a void in the lives of his family and friends, a bright light extinguished far too soon. Their grief is a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked abuse. This case also sheds light on the importance of recognizing the signs of a toxic relationship. Abuse doesn't always look the way we expect, And it can happen to anyone, regardless of gender or circumstances. Toby's story is a heartbreaking example of how love and loyalty can sometimes blind us to the danger we face. To anyone listening, this is a call to action. If you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship, please seek help. Recognize the warning signs, trust your instincts, and remember that you are not alone. Escaping such situations can be incredibly difficult, but it is the first step towards safety and healing. We also encourage you to share your thoughts and stories in the comments. Conversations like these are vital to raising awareness and offering support to those who may feel trapped or isolated. Thank you for joining us on this journey through a case that has touched so many. Let Toby's story serve as a reminder of the value of compassion, the dangers of toxic love, and the importance of looking out for one another. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and cherish the ones you hold dear.